Bradley Barcola or Semenyo, who is the perfect January transfer signing for Arsenal? Viktor Gyökeres. This needs a deep dive into the conversation. Is he right for Arsenal? We're going to look at their upcoming fixtures. We're going to also talk about Manchester City. Have they turned a corner? Are they the Premier League favourites right now? It's the middle of December. The January transfer window is only a couple of weeks away. And I want to discuss a number of topics with you, including incomings, outgoings, and the Premier League title race. If you enjoy the content, make sure you leave a like on the video. We've hit 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 likes recently. So the support is absolutely obscene. More importantly, though, we are closing in on 100,000 subscribers, which genuinely is absolutely obscene. It really, really is. We're about 500 away from 86,000. I want to talk about Gyökeres first. Now, this is probably the most trending subject in the Premier League at this moment in time. Signs from Liga Portugal for a big money move in the summer. But like a lot of players, it hasn't really reached the heights that a lot of people thought it would. Similar to Alexander Isak at Liverpool, Florian Wirtz at Liverpool. What people seem to be doing right now is comparing him to Ekitike or Igor Thiago at Brentford or Voldemort at Newcastle. Now, listen, every single striker who comes into the league adapts to the football they're playing in their current team differently. Every single footballer that leaves from a different league and comes into the Prem has to deal with the physicality, the pace of the league, the competitiveness. You've only got to look at the Premier League this season and look at the Premier League table right now and look at how close it is between top four and mid-table. I don't think we will see a Premier League season for quite some time where we've seen the 97, 99, 95 points, late 80s. You may see an early 80 season. Look at this right now. This is the Premier League table, right? Between Chelsea, who sit in fourth, and Newcastle, who sit in 12th, there's only 6 points. You know, you can be in turmoil like Spurs, like we are, who have won one of your last 7 games, win a couple, and all of a sudden you're back up there. Equally, you can lose a couple and be right down there. You know, there's only 4 points between 16th and 11th. There's only 8 points between 16th and 5th. Now, I don't remember the last time we saw a Premier League table like this. I genuinely don't. If you look at last season's Premier League table, for instance, it was, you know, completely different. By January, we had a very, very good understanding of who was going to win the league. We had a good understanding who was going to make top 4, etc. Now, Gyökeres, I think it's fair to say he hasn't hit some of the heights we thought he may hit in the Premier League. Genuinely, right now, I think it's fair to say he's struggling. And that isn't a criticism. That's just he is struggling. He's taking him a little bit longer to adapt. But what is not helping him is the level of competition that Arsenal are now going to have in that striker role. Because Gabriel Jesus is back. Kai Havertz is going to be back in a couple of weeks. Mikel Merino can score goals. So you've got 3 other players that are all fighting for the same position. Now, I don't think Gyökeres wants to play out wide. I don't think he's got the passing ability or the agility to play as a 10, whereas Jesus can play out wide, Merino can play a number of positions, Kai Havertz can play a number of positions. So I think they have to be a little bit more patient with him. He's got 6 goals in 18, which is 1 in 3, right? He's got 4 goals in 14 in the Premier League. Now, I do think it's going to take a season. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it is going to take a season. Now, he could quite easily go on a run of games where he could score the winner against Everton on Saturday, I believe that is. Then he could score a goal in the League Cup against Crystal Palace. And then all of a sudden, people go, oh, Gyökeres has turned the corner. Then imagine he scores a couple against Brighton, scores the winner against Villa. And all of a sudden, he's gone from 4 goals in the Premier League to, say, 7 or 8. It can change so quickly. Look at the August 31st Liverpool versus Arsenal game before the international break. The first one. Everyone said Liverpool were going to run away with the title, including me. Everyone said that right now Liverpool were, at that moment in time, going to dominate the Premier League. Fast forward 4 weeks later for the next international break, Arsenal was 6 points clear of Liverpool. My point is, football can change so quickly. They haven't got the easiest run of games by any stretch, but they've got 4 of their next 7 games at home. And Arsenal haven't lost at home this season. The only 2 away games they've lost were Aston Villa and Liverpool. They've beaten everyone who stepped in front of them at home other than City. Atletico Madrid beat, Bayern Munich beat, Tottenham beat, Now, they need to carry on that home form. Now, some transfer news, and this would be, I'll be honest with you, a nightmare for all of us. Because Bradley Barcola's contract situation has stalled. Arsenal could be in pole position to sign PSG forward as contract talks stall. Now, they are referring to, let me get rid of that advert. They are referring to Bradley Barcola. Now, it says, I'll bring up the actual report. It says, Arsenal are weighing a potential move for Bradley Barcola and growing uncertainty over the wing's future at Paris Saint-Germain. According to new reports from French outlet Le Temps Sport, the 23-year-old is yet to agree terms on a new deal, raising the prospect. Now, Bradley Barcola at PSG, there's a hell of a lot of wide players there. Lots of competition from Kvaratskhelia to Lee to Ousmane Dembele, Desiree Doué. Gonçalo Ramos has played out wide. There's a number of positions at PSG that are essentially already filled. Now, Bradley Barcola, for me, is, I don't want to say he's perfect for Arsenal, but it makes a lot of sense in terms of the profile of the player, in terms of the age of the player, and the fact that he is predominantly a left winger. Now, he's, 23 years of age, 13 games in Ligue 1, 5 goals, 1 assist, 2 assists in 6 in the Champions League, played in the Super Cup, did relatively well in the Club World Cup. When you look at his actual contract, it would expire in 2 and a bit years. Now, lots of people think he will sign the new deal. I'm not necessarily sure because he's been linked with a number of clubs. As you can see there, it expires 30th of June 2028. Now, he's younger than Semenyo. He's probably more experienced, or he's more experienced on the bigger stage than what Semenyo is. He's made his France debut last year. For me, I can see him leaving. Now, when you look at his overall numbers in a PSG shirt, they are pretty good. 31 goals, 33 assists. That's 64 GA in 123, which is roughly one GA every 2 games. That would be a big signing for Arsenal. But what I think Arsenal need to go and do is figure out first, before they identify their transfer targets, on how to break down low blocks. That seems to be an issue right now for Arsenal in terms of when a team scores against them, they don't always have an answer. Now, Martinelli's been very good in the Champions League. Noni Madueke's been very good in the Champions League. Leandro Trossard scores goals, but those 3 players are all very similar in terms of, I don't necessarily see Noni, Martinelli, and Leandro Trossard as being a world-class talent. Whereas someone like Semenyo at this moment in time has, I would say, slightly more potential than those guys. But I think Bradley Barcola has a lot more potential. Bayern Munich are after him. Liverpool have been heavily linked. But again, Bradley Barcola is probably going to cost you 65, 70, maybe 80 million pounds. In January, how likely are Arsenal to go out there and drop big money on a wide player. I'm not necessarily sure they are going to. And when you look at the fixtures they've got in January from Bournemouth, then they play Liverpool at home, Portsmouth in the FA Cup, then they've got Nottingham Forest, Inter Milan, Man United, Karat Almaty, and Leeds. So Arsenal have got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've got 8 games in January. So rotation is going to be very, very important. Now, Semenyo is a player Romano has spoken about a number of times, speaking about he has that release clause that will be active in January for 65 million. If not, the release clause goes down to 55 million in the summer. I think it's more likely right now that Liverpool go out there and spend, the 65, 55 million, whatever it will be on a Semenyo. But I think are Arsenal in a position to let a player like that slide when you think about Leandro Trossard's 31, 32, Gabriel Jesus' future is uncertain. Martinelli's probably going to be the predominant left winger, I would say, going into next season, unless they bring in a Bradley Barcola. Up front, Gyökeres, Havertz will be your strikers. Noni and Saka will be your right wingers. But that left wing position it's up for grabs. It's down to who wants to be more consistent out of Trossard and Martinelli. But if you've got the funds, why not go and drop big money on a Bradley Barcola? It just makes sense. Contract's only got 2 and a bit years left, 23 years of age, experienced player in Ligue 1. He's got 11 GA and 30 in the Champions League. Won major honours. Yeah, it's definitely worth a conversation. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time. I'm out.